Hi everyone, my name is Louise. Welcome to the workshop on how to make wheat paste and community posters, community art. This training is part of a series of trainings we're doing in the run-up to the election. But wheat pasting, spreading messages through art in your community is a tactic that can be used year-round, useful to grassroots groups working on anything, not just in the run-up to the election. So I hope you'll find this useful. You will need these ingredients if you're going to follow along, because we're going to have a go at actually making wheat paste. It's very simple, takes only a few minutes, but you're going to need the following: a wide paintbrush, some water, a cup of plain flour, half a cup of sugar, a container that you can put a lid on that's airtight, ideally one with a handle as well, so it makes it easier to carry around when you're wheat pasting. And then just a saucepan, a whisk, and a spatula. So we'll get to making the wheat paste in a minute. But first of all, here is what we are going to cover. First of all, what is wheat paste? Might not be a term you're familiar with, but thanks for joining a workshop to find out. We'll look at why community art is so important. Then we'll look at some design principles for making posters that work with this technique. We'll look at how to pick your location and where to put them, and importantly, getting permission from wherever you're putting them up. And then we'll do the practical sort of cook along with a quick recap at the end of, particularly if you're thinking of using this tactic during the election, some quick do's and don'ts. So what is wheat pasting? It's a popular form of street art. It's been used by artists and activists for many, many years to spread their message. Basically, it just involves putting up posters or other printed materials on surfaces in public areas, whether that's walls, pavements, steps, doors, lampposts, wherever it might be, using a homemade sort of wallpaper paste, essentially. Something that originated in the US, but many artists have been using for years and years. Really simple. Quickly, before we head into the practical bit, just a few minutes on kind of why community art. Two different answers to that. One is very practical. The second's a bit more philosophical. And so just starting from the assumption that any grassroots campaigning group, your aim is to change something in the world, right, or in your community. And to change things, we first have to sort of change the narrative and the stories that people tell themselves about the world, people tell us, and the media tells us about the world. And art can be a really powerful tool to help us disrupt the official account of what's going on. It can make us and it can make other people stop and think. And I guess, it's a way of proposing new stories of how the world or a community could be. So there's a really nice quote that I always like to start with around this. Art is not a mirror held up to reality, it's a hammer with which to shape it. That's a Bertolt Brecht quote. But using culture, art can get through to people and open up ways of thinking and also open up space that then politics moves into. So it's a tool that can help us reframe the story. And I think, especially during an election period, it could be a really powerful tool. And so I've got a few examples, first of all, that I want to showcase just to show, the power of simple wall art and some different ways that it's been used in recent years. This one is about the climate crisis, obviously speaks for itself. It's a Banksy. And just so simple, but the concept, is really thought-provoking, like the mixture of the simple graffiti, but it's underwater. This is actually sort of graffiti rather than wheat paste, but I really like this one, so I thought I'd show that. Sometimes you just want to get a message across, just straight up. This example here is from during the pandemic. It's from Philadelphia in the US, and it's just some simple messages. There's a couple of different examples here, but encouraging people to wear masks, to keep to social distancing, from the early days of the pandemic when there was a lot of resistance and misinformation going around in the community. And so some people got together and, um, with this project, Cover the Walls with Hope, it was called. Um, this one is a bit more ambitious. So this is a really good example of Wheatpaste art, actually, and some of the really powerful ways you can use it. This one comes from Barcelona. Um, and it was a group wanting to bring to life some of the stories of descendants from people enslaved during the slave trade, and to reclaim some of the public spaces around this memorial statue in Barcelona, which was a statue to kind of one of the city's biggest perpetrators of slavery. And they wheat pasted these amazing portraits on the steps leading up to the statue, along with a QR code, so you could actually listen to the story of people, of real people. So another really powerful one. And sometimes art can be a really powerful way to just connect with people emotionally as well. This is an example of Wheatpaste being used to create a memorial wall. Again, this one's from the US and Chicago. It's a really participatory project where the organizers had created these little colored posters, and basically they encouraged people to fill them in with to write on the bits of paper a memory or the name of someone that they knew that had been affected by police violence and racism in the US. This was during the height of the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020. And the organisers then pasted these up using Wheatpaste on a wall to create this kind of community mural memorial. Just a couple more. Again, this one is a fairly large-scale example, and this was a collaboration where 4 different artists got together, each designed, one of the letters in this very simple message to vote. You can see here in the center, there's also people holding placards with a QR code. It can be a really important way. Wheatpaste allows you to print stuff and do really detailed stuff as well that can then, this particular one was encouraging people in that community to vote. But just in case you get just in case you get a little bit put off about the scale of some of those examples, just want to reassure you don't have to be a professional artist or think huge scale. This small example here is just one that me and my daughter did earlier today, on the fence posts in our garden. So it can be used in any sort of context or scale, and with any messages. So on to some more practical reasons for why I'm a massive advocate of Wheatpaste art. First of all, it's cheap. These are ingredients that we probably all have at home. It's very easy to make. The glue itself is, it's just literally sugar, water, and flour. So it's very eco-friendly. It will dissolve gradually. There's nothing toxic about it. And, it's just a way to share messages with lots of people in your community in a really creative way. So the first thing you need before you get to the wheat pasting process is your message and your posters. So for this type of poster, you are going to need really thin paper, something that the paste can sort of go through. Flipchart paper I found is really ideal. You're also going to need some kind of Sharpies, so like permanent ink pens, ones that are not water based so that they don't run. Sharpies work really well if you have some of those. Going to need a good dose of creativity, and we'll come on to design in a minute. And if you want to integrate some more sort of text elements or a QR code pointing people to a website or to join your group or whatever it is, a printer can be really helpful to get that level of detail. And the only other materials you need is a paintbrush. So really simple. Hopefully anyone can access those things. And so, how do you design your poster? Well, that's really up to you. I think you can draw inspiration from any number of places. I put up a few examples at the start just to give you some ideas of how it can be used. But I'd suggest, you sort of look in art books, look online, pick ideas, pull together ideas that you like to design something really bold. But the key thing is really kind of getting your message right. So, particularly in the context of this election, what are some of the issues that are going to motivate people to vote in your area? What is it you're trying to get across to people? Is it about poverty? Is it about climate change? Is it about peace in the Middle East or in Ukraine? What is your key message? So kind of get that nailed down. And then it's about thinking about the composition of your design. So you want something that's going to be really bold, easy to see against the background, so maybe a message that can be visible from a distance, but also is quite interesting to look at close up, depending where people are seeing it from and where you're placing it. And you could just paste up, an A4 sheet of paper, straight, poster. Or it can be really interesting to cut out shapes, make collage type compositions. And if you want to go really big, you might need to then sort of split your design over lots of different pieces of paper that sort of fit together to make a composite image. But yeah, the kind of the world is your oyster, and yeah, you can spend some time designing as many posters as you want in any kind of designs. Again, just to simplify this and not make it seem too overwhelming, I had a go at this earlier with my daughter, who's 8 years old. Got her to draw some little cartoons on a piece of flipchart paper and then posted them up. So, you don't have to be an amazing artist. It's just about something really striking, simple, visual, get your message really clear, and off you go. It's definitely a good idea to do this with friends as well. It's a lot more fun, whether that's with family and young kids getting involved, or with the group that you're working with, or just a group of friends. Get some people over, provide some flip chart paper and Sharpies, and then just get creative. You can have chats as you go and design, and make an action weekend out of it, of designing your posters and then going out together maybe to stick them up wherever you're going to put them. Once you've got your posters, you need to choose where you're going to put them up. So it's really important to think in terms of location, like who are you actually wanting to see your posters? That's going to affect the location that you choose. Is it somewhere really busy, or is it just a personal message that you're sticking, on the front of your house or side of your house or whatever? How long do you want it to stay up? That will depend, on your choice of location, whether it's something that someone's going to take down. And I'll come on to permission in a minute as well. Really important. But in terms of surfaces, this technique can work on almost any surface. Some are better than others. So wood is really good. the wheat paste glue will stick your poster on. It should stay up for quite a long time. Obviously, in the weather, it will fade away and it will wash away, but wood is quite a good surface. Bricks and walls, it's a harder texture, so it's not as easy to get rid of all the air bubbles necessarily, which means it might flake off a bit more quickly. Concrete is probably somewhere in between wood and brick, but things that are made out of metal, plastic, are really, any good smooth surface is really easy to paste on. I had a go earlier at sticking some on the side of my dustbin, for example, or on a window, and that worked really well. So if you're thinking about making a really big visual impact, you probably want a large surface area. Could be, a wall in your street, could be a house, any building, empty shop fronts. But it's really important that you ask permission if that's not your space to stick art on. Things will get taken down, first of all, if you don't ask, or they'll get covered over much more quickly, and you don't want to get into trouble either. So I would always recommend you ask permission. It can just be as simple as popping into a shop next to the wall that you want to use, or the door, or whatever. Just asking, having a quick chat with someone, or you can pop a note through the door. Maybe someone has got a perfect sort of massive wall at the end of the street, run of houses or something that you'd like to use, but just ask. People say no, that's fine. There's plenty of other places you can think to put them. Okay, so now it's time to actually make our wheat paste. So get together all the ingredients that are in the ingredients list. You're going to need some sugar. You're going to need some flour, plain flour. You're going to need a bit of water, which I'm just bringing to the boil, and a whisk, a spatula, and that's it, and a container to put it in afterwards. So I'm just bringing the water to the boil. That's the first step. As soon as it comes to the boil, turn off the heat and add the sugar, and we're going to whisk that in. I'll just pause. Okay, so with our water coming up to the boil, just going to turn that off. Pop in the sugar. There we go, get all of that in. And you just want to quickly whisk that until that's dissolved. There we go. This really does take seconds. Next, you're going to take just any bowl, put about half of your flour, of your cup of flour, into the bowl, and you just want to pour a little bit of the sugary water solution in there, and then whisk, 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 whisk. It's going to quickly turn into a paste, and you want to whisk it and make sure that all the lumps disappear. Add a bit more water just to make it into a paste. Keep whisking. Doesn't take long. Got a few lumps there. Whisk a little bit faster. You want to try and get rid of as many lumps as you can. You obviously don't want the little lumps getting in the way when you're pasting raw flour. So it takes a bit of elbow grease, but it doesn't take very long at all. Okay, there's my first half of the flour mixed into the paste. Okay, so once you've put the first half of your flour in, you just then proceed to add the rest of the flour in little by little. Just whisk it as you go. I'm just going to do that now and show you. And this is just an easier way to make sure that basically you don't end up with any lumps if you do it bit by bit. And the consistency that you're looking for, you can adjust it by adding a little bit more or less water. I'm just going to get the lumps out of this. Keep whisking. I don't know if you can see, but it's a thick sort of glue-like consistency. That looks pretty good to me. And then as soon as that's done, that's it. It's really is that simple. So there's your wheat paste. You then just want to let it cool down 10-15 minutes because it's obviously got hot boiling water in it. Don't put it into a plastic container until it's cooled down, and then scrape it out into your container. So you've got your wheat paste, you've got a paintbrush, and you're ready to put up your art. So just find your surface, put on a thick layer of the paste. You want to be generous. And then you simply take your cutout art or your poster, apply it to the area that you've covered fully with the paste. And you want to make sure as you're applying it that you're squeezing out any air pockets. And then gently go over it again with
get all the bubbles out from the middle.
Another layer of wheat paste over the top with your paintbrush, and you'll gradually sort of use your paintbrush to squeeze out any of the trapped air, making sure that there's plenty of paste on the top so that it's all sealed. And that's basically it.
And get all the bubbles out.
So if you are thinking of using this tactic in the run-up to the general election, I'm just going to quickly recap some of the do's and don'ts. These are things to just bear in mind. We have a full training on this, which you can find on the Movement Vote website or tippingpointuk.org. But yeah, just quick recap. Things you do want to do, like definitely this election is a huge opportunity to get our message out there, to engage with people about the issues that grassroots groups are campaigning about and care about. So don't let that put you off campaigning. You definitely should continue. Your public outreach is a really important opportunity where people are listening. Do use this moment to recruit new supporters. It's really important that you get people onto your group's mailing list, WhatsApp group, whatever it might be, because that gives you a lot more freedom in terms of who you can speak to directly and what you can say to them. There are less restrictions than there are in terms of speaking to the general public. Do inform and encourage your supporters to vote and to think about the issues that you're campaigning on and that you care about. If you're talking directly to your supporters, you can tell them who you think is the best party or candidate on the issue that you're working on. That's fine. You can't necessarily do that if you're doing it on a public platform, but do encourage your supporters. If you're going to be spending any sizable amount of money, I would recommend you do keep track of the costs and keep hold of your receipts. There's a limit of £700 per constituency. Now, most groups won't spend that, but if for any reason you're doing something very large scale, that's your limit, upper limit. And I would also encourage you to work together with, the myriad other groups in your area, in your community that are going to be getting active, thinking about the election and how to make the most of this moment. And then, obviously, vote. Don't stop speaking out on the issues you care about. I've said that already. Don't exceed £700 of spending per constituency. I would strongly advise you not to be party political. You will reach a much broader audience, and particularly if you're looking to get any funding or support from charities or organisations, then they won't be able to support you if you appear party political. And don't tell people how to vote. People vote based on the issues that they care about. So talk to people about the issues, and yeah, don't be too prescriptive. People can make up their own minds. That's our training done. So in terms of what's next, we have a whole bunch of other trainings coming up, which you can find at the Movement Vote project website, which is Tipping Point UK /movement vote, or you can just click the link in this slide deck. If you do end up using this tactic of wheat pasting and creating community art and posters, we'd love to see them. You can share those on social media using the hashtag movement vote, or email them into us. And yeah, we've got several other trainings coming up in the next few weeks before election day. So check out the training website. You can scan the QR code here as well. And then finally, if your group finds these trainings helpful and you're in a position to do so, or as an individual, then we'd love you to set up a small monthly donation to Tipping Point. It enables us to provide all this training, support, micro grants, all the resources that we do for grassroots groups. And we rely on small donations from our supporters and people that understand the important role of grassroots groups in our movement. So that's it. Thank you very much, and hope this was a helpful session.